Hello everyone, it's Vicky here today designing for Pink Fresh Studio, and I'm using the fabulous new Life Right Now collection. I love it. It's totally my colours and I really love this collection. So I had an idea in my mind to make a rosette for my base, and I've done this, well, I've done rosettes before, never quite exactly in this way, but that's what I want to do. So I actually cut 4 strips of paper because I thought I might need 4 to make a rosette, but actually I only need the 2 pieces. So just to let you know why I cut the 4. So I've got this scoring board, which I am scoring every ½ centimetre. I think it's ½ centimetre. Or maybe it's 1/4 of an inch, whichever measurements it is. I'm not 100% certain, but it's quite a small interval. So I'm going to concertina these pieces, and I'm going to do this rainbow paper here, and then I'm going to concertina one of the blue spotty paper as well. And you won't have to watch that whole process. I will skip through shortly, but you'll see my fingers were actually getting quite achy when I was doing this. It's quite fiddly, but it's definitely worth it, I think. So there you go, the whole piece is concertinaed, and using the scoreboard obviously makes that a lot easier. To fold that by hand would be really difficult. There we go, and that's what I want to do. I want to curl it round, and this is where I realised that will do half the rosette, so I don't need to do 4. There we go, and I've got this strip of pictures which I want to put on top. And they're of my nieces just pulling silly faces. They're in black and white because there were lots of different colours in them, and I just wanted them to all look I didn't want the other colours to clash with the kit that I'm using. So I'm going to stick a piece of patterned paper onto my white cardstock, and the reason I decided to do that is because I'm using a hot glue gun. And I just thought having that extra piece there would just strengthen the page and stop it from buckling from the hot glue. There's my hot glue gun. It plugs in behind me, so it doesn't like to stay on the table. So I'm going to put some hot glue onto that piece of pattern paper that I stuck down, and then I'm going to stick my concertina on top of it, and it's really fiddly to do, and you can see that I'm struggling with it, but just keep going. It's worth it in the end. There you go. It dries pretty quickly when you use a hot glue gun, so that's why I use it. It just sort of dries really quickly and really solidly. So that's one half of the rosette, and then I want to use a different colour on the other side. Just to add a bit of interest to the layout. So again, I'm putting glue, and I sort of figured out a better way of doing it this time around. And of course that blue also helps hold the pieces in place because you have something to push it against. And then I just use the hot glue to glue the edges down as well, so that they stay in place and join in the middle. There we go, so there's my base. And I'm going to put my strip down the centre, and then I'll use some of the florals from the collection to go around it. So I'm just sort of thinking what I'm going to do here. This isn't the end product. I just wanted to sort of have a look and see which florals would look nice and where they could go. And yeah, so I sort of put the more colourful ones on the left and the more bluey, purpley ones on the right. But they'll come back in a second. I'm going to use some white acrylic paints here, and I'm watering it down, and I'm just going to use it to do splatters. And it just adds a little bit of an extra sort of weathered look, I think, to the papers that I've put down. So I put quite a few splatters on there. In the end, when you look at the final layout, you can't see them really well, but you can see them. So they just add a bit, as I said, a bit of a sort of distressed look to it. And then I've got 2 colours of ink, and I'm going to put this blue one, which is called Stargazer, around the blue paper, and then I'm going to put Candy Apple around the rainbow paper. And all I do is I just pad them onto a piece of plastic, add some water, and then use my brush to do splatters. It's very simple. It's just a good way of using your extra way of using your inks as watercolours. And obviously the colours always, there's always a perfect colour for the collections that you can use in these kits. That's the great thing about Pink Fresh watercolours. Okay, so back to my layout and what I'm going to ultimately put on here. And I love this paper with the big words, and I knew I couldn't use it as a base paper. I wouldn't have enough space to put all my bits and pieces on. So I'm going to use it as a title. So I'm going to cut out here. It says here, and then it says my favourite place to be. So I start to cut around this, and I think I might leave plenty of white on there. I'm just rounding the corners here. But I ultimately decide to cut more off of it. In the meantime, I'm going to cut my photo because I want to put the title running down the middle of the photos. So I cut one off and put that there at the bottom. And this is where I will cut through this, but I just cut out more of the white on the title, and I like that better. Okay, so now I'm thinking, let's get some florals back on, I think. No, first of all, actually, I'm going to mount the photos. Mostly because the rosette is so 3D, it makes it very difficult to stick those down separately. But also, I wanted to have that dark colour behind the word that I've just cut round. So I layer it onto the blue paper and distress the edges. And then I add a bit of the rainbow paper on as well to the right, so that there's a bit of that brought across over the blue on the right hand side. Okay, and again I distress the edge of that just as added texture. And I really like how that looks. So I'm going to put a bit of foam at the top and the bottom of that strip, because at the edge of a rosette it's much flatter than it is in the middle. So that will help it stay flat on the page. There we go, and then here is going to stick there in a moment, but I think first of all I'm going to layer up my florals. And as I said, I'm putting the more colourful sort of oranges and yellows on the left, and I'm putting the more blues and mauves on the right, just sort of to tie in with the colour that's on each side. Here we go. I'm going to start to stick those down, because I like how that looks and I don't want to lose it. I'd never be able to recreate it. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to stick down the title as well now. Just stick it in the middle. The H and the E are just floating, but I like that. It just gives it a really good 3D effect. So now I've got the puffy stickers, and there's a couple of houses in there which I'm going to put on, and actually I cover those up in a moment, which was a bit silly of me, but I didn't realise at the time, but that's okay. And then I've got the chipboard flare, which I love, and I've got little areas on the photo where where it doesn't affect the photo. One says Little Joys and one says Great Day, and I just stick those down as well. And then this little tab that I choose here says Today's Adventure, and I'm just going to tuck that in the top and just distress the edges a little to add a little bit of texture as well. And that's it, I think. Yep, there's the final layout. I hope it inspires you to try rosette on your layouts. I really love the effect of it, and it gives you a nice patterned paper background as well. So there's some close-ups as well. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll link what I've used in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Vicki for Pink Fresh Studio. Till next time, bye bye.